So the class of 2015 has recorded the highest enrollment of grade 12 learners in the history of basic education system in South Africa. So that's the access issue. This year, the total number of candidates who registered for the November 2015 National Senior Certificates was 799,306. Of these, 925,000 were full-time candidates, and 381 were part-time candidates, which is also very encouraging to see learners who never had an opportunity consistently trying to make sure that they get their certification. And this comes to more than 110,000 candidates more who enrolled for the 2015 exams.
All right, and that's our focus on this morning's Morning Live, the announcement made by the Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga, last night. She says that the department will focus on the 3 worst performing provinces: Limpopo, with a pass rate of 65.9% for their matric candidates, KwaZulu-Natal with 60.7%, and the Eastern Cape, they have the lowest pass rate percentage of 56.8%. We focus in on the Limpopo Province, so we are joined from our Polokwane studio by Dr Abbey Ngoepe, an education academic from the University of Limpopo. A very good morning to you, Dr Ngoepe, and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you and to the viewers out there.
Dr Ngoepe, what do you make of this year's matric results in the province?
I think this year's matric performance has gone down as reported by the Minister of Basic Education, which is due to a number of factors as indicated by the Minister, but also by the available empirical evidence, which again, it's an indication that our system, especially in the basic education sector, is not yet matured to the extent that it can be reliable, it can be predictable, because in a maturing system, you expect the system to be much more reliable in terms of performance and to be highly predictable. But the way the situation is there are still some challenges. For example, if you look at the years before 2014, the results were improving every year, but from 2014 until 2015, the results have been going down. So those are some of the challenges of a system that is still struggling with some form of maturity. Again, there are also some of the contributory factors. For example, this policy of progressed learners. I think what we are saying, we must guard against a high drop rate of learners in the system, but there are some better ways of ensuring that this high rate of dropouts in the system is minimized. For example, if we have to do that, we need not to do it at the later stages of learning, where we start to look at it when they are at grade 10, 11. We need to look at a number of intervention strategies from the lower grades, starting from foundation phase, intermediate phase, senior phase, where at that stage or in those levels, we should come with some strategies, or the department must look at strategies of identifying those learners who are at risk, give them appropriate support measures, extra measures that will ensure that by the time they reach grade 12, they deserve to be there, they qualify to be there. Because if you look at education generally, it's about academic performance based on set standards. So one has to be promoted to the next standard once they have fulfilled the requirements that have been set in accordance with those standards. But I think trying to push learners to move to certain grades or to upper grades without having met those set standards, I think we are not doing well in terms of ensuring some confidence in the system, but also building a credible education system. Yes, we must guard against high dropout rates of these learners, but let's come with better ways of ensuring that this challenge of high drop rates is minimized, but at the same time balance it with academic performance, and standards that are sound and internationally benchmarked.
Dr. Ngoepe, you raised the issue that was also raised by the Minister of Basic Education, and that's the fact that you can't have learners in grade 11 failing 2 years and not going through to matric. They are then pushed. Is there enough pressure, is there enough focus in the education sectors in South Africa currently to perhaps change this so that that won't happen, so that we have got people that are going into matric that are ready for matric?
I think somewhere the minister mentioned the review of the policy, but I think it is not yet good enough. Like as I said, what we need to do is, we are aware that these learners from the lowest grades, as I indicated, starting with foundation phase, obviously they have a number of challenges. Let's identify those learning barriers in those lower grades, and let's also identify these learners who are at risk at those lower grades and build credible support systems that will identify these learners that are at risk with additional support measures, intervention strategies, so that we give them that extra support that will ensure that they meet the agreed upon or the set standards, which will then give some confidence in the education system of our country, because it doesn't help to push these learners that to move from one standard to another when they don't qualify, because then that negates what it's internationally understood and acceptable when we talk about academic performance.
Thank you very much. That is Dr. Abbey Ngoepe. He is from the University of Limpopo, speaking about the review of pushing learners through to higher grades after failing 2 previous times in that specific standard. And I suppose many South Africans are hoping that that process and that review process can be done speedily.